Erev Shabbat Shalom, Parashat Bo. The Makot in our Parsha already go into a new phase of negotiations between Paro and Moshe Rabbeinu and Am Yisrael. Paro is already trying to negotiate. He says, in Bakat Arbe, okay, I'll let you go, but only the men, not the men and women, not the children. Or in Makat Choshech, okay, you want the kids to go, I'll let them go, but not the cattle or the sheep. And trying to get a better deal, as we would say. And another thing he tries to bring up in negotiations in Makat Arbe is when he says, Yichen Hashem imachem kasher hashalach etchem ve'etapchem re'u ki ra'a neged pnechem. See that something bad is going to happen to you. This is a famous trick of the Goyim who try to convince us to do things that don't seem good to us. He says, no, it's not because of us. It's not good for you. It's not that we have our interests. To go out of Egypt and to go and worship Hashem is not good for you. It's in your interest where we care about. What is this ra'ah, this bad thing that Paro is talking about? So Rashi, the famous Rashi, brings a Midrash Chazal that says that Paro saw his astrologist saw that something bad is going to happen to Am Yisrael. He saw some Puranut, something that's not so good is going to happen. So he says it's not good for you because something bad is going to happen to you in the future. I can see that my astrologers see it. But Unkelus has a different approach. And Rashi mentions them in one word, Ketar Gumo. What does Unkelus say? He says that Paro is saying to Am Yisrael, well, what you're thinking is going to be good for you is actually going to flip back on you like a boomerang. Listachara. It's going to turn around on you. What does Unkelus mean? What is Paro saying to Am Yisrael according to Unkelus? There are a few commentaries on this. One of the commentators says that what Paro is trying to say to Am Yisrael, you want to go and worship Hashem? That's not worth it. You know what? When we're going to get a Torah, you're going to have so many obligations. You know what a responsibility that is? Do you really want that? Do you want to be in a situation where everything you violate, every avera you do, you're going to get such a punishment? That's not good for you. Forget it. What do you need to go out of Egypt to worship Hashem? That's a headache. It's just going to turn back on you. Stay here. It's much better. No responsibilities, nothing else. That is what Paro is trying to tell Am Yisrael. But we know that the truth is exactly the opposite. The halacha is that a young child who becomes a convert, we convert him to, if he's converted to Judaism, and the assumption is that he wants it. Zechutilo. Why would he want it? Because to be obligated in Torah mitzvot, to be able to be close to Kadosh Baruch Hu, is really a very, very big zechut. And that, it's a benefit. It's an obligation, but it's more a benefit than an obligation. And it's worth mentioning, and that is really what Am Yisrael answers to Paro, is you say, it's not good for us? Adarab, on the contrary, it's a zchut for us to worship Hashem, to receive Torah, and to be close to Kadosh Baruch Hu. And even more than that. The Rebbe Mikotsk used to say a vort on what we usually mention the Divrei Chazal after a learning before Kaddish de Rabbanan or the Siyum. Ratzah Kadosh Baruch Hu lezakot et Yisrael. Kadosh Baruch Hu wanted to give a benefit to Am Yisrael. Lefichach hirba lehem Torah mitzvot. That's why he gave them a lot of Torah and mitzvot. So literally, this sounds weird. Giving us so many Torah and mitzvot is not a zchut. It's not a benefit. It's such a big obligation. Some people will say, "Whoa! Everything I do, it's there's always a prohibition I need to be aware of, Allah I need to be aware of, everything I touch." But the Rebbe says it's a zchut for Am Yisrael. Because becoming close to Kadosh Baruch Hu is not only when I open a siddur, when I daven, or when I open a Gemara and I learn, or a Chumash and I learn. It's not only when I'm doing very, very specific things. Kadosh Baruch Hu gave us the zchut to be close to Him in every aspect of life. That's what He gave. He gave us mitzvot related to all aspects of life. Everything, everywhere we go, we can be close to Kadosh Baruch Hu and find the Kadosh Baruch Hu in our lives. This is what the Rebbe Kosh says, and this is our real zchut, to go out of Egypt and worship Hashem and receive the Torah that gives us an opportunity to connect to Kadosh Baruch Hu in every aspect of life. That is the biggest benefit a person can have, and that is the biggest zchut, and that is what we went out of Egypt for, in order to receive Torah. May we, Yisrael Hashem, in these times where we have extra challenges and we meet new aspects of life we never encountered before, the way to look at it, in the way that Am Yisrael looks at it, and the way that the Rebbe Kotz taught us, is that to find the Kadosh Baruch Hu, how we can connect the Kadosh Baruch Hu in every new aspect of life that we encounter. Shabbat Shalom.